this protest isn't about truckers. It's about people who don't want to believe in science, don't follow the principles that are going to keep us all safe, and at the same time are expressing a very concerning degree of intolerance and hateful messaging that has no place in Canada. So,
hello, folks. Can I see the purpose? It's funny when I spoke about things through my channels when people thought, oh, we're just crazy. Guys who prepare are crazy, but it's funny. Today, I'm guessing that you guys get same info that I get from friends and family, social media, Telegram, Signal, WhatsApp, and emails and whatnot. Today, I received a nice link from Yahoo when the guy's name is John Mac Ghlionn. I think that's his name. He was talking about the fact that the change of government, which is it wasn't a change, but the change of the person who's leading the country just changed, and then what's gonna happen in the next 4 years? Who knows? I'm hoping for an election this year or next year, but we'll see. I'm gonna put that clip for you guys and let me know what you think.
Justin Trudeau's time as Prime Minister will be remembered as one of the most destructive eras in Canadian history. Under his watch, Canada's national identity was diluted, civil liberties were trampled, economic competitiveness cratered, and divisions between citizens deepened beyond repair. From draconian COVID crackdowns to the reckless invocation of the Emergencies Act against peaceful protesters, Trudeau normalized authoritarianism under the guise of tolerance and progress. While smiling for Vogue covers, he reduced a proud, hard-won heritage into little more than a backdrop for photo ops and platitudes. But if you think it can't get worse, think again. Hell has a basement. At first glance, Carney appears to be a competent alternative to Trudeau's ideological theatrics. But look again, and you'll see that Carney represents something far more troubling. A globalist technician carefully engineered for this moment. This is a man who speaks in the bland-sounding language of stakeholders and transitions while quietly planning the most radical transformation in the country's history. Carney's ascent was no accident. After years operating quietly behind the scenes as Governor of the Bank of Canada, then Governor of the Bank of England, he became a darling of the World Economic Forum, a fixture at Bilderberg, and a loyal lieutenant of the Trilateral Commission. His path wasn't earned through public mandate or electoral battle. It was conferred behind closed doors by institutions whose interests lie not with Canadian sovereignty but with expanding technocratic control over Western democracies. He didn't rise because of popular support. He was selected, groomed, and installed. He openly boasts about being a globalist. In a recent interview, Carney declared, "I know how the world works. I know how to get things done. I'm connected. People will charge me with being elitist or a globalist to use that term, which is, well, it happens to be exactly what we need." In other words, he sees his elitism not as a flaw, but a qualification. That alone should set off alarm bells. When a man auditioning to lead a country tells you outright that his loyalty lies with an international ruling class, believe him. Former New York Gov. Mario Cuomo famously said that politicians should campaign in poetry and govern in prose. Carney doesn't bother with either. He governs in code, the sterile dialect of central bankers and global technocrats. Terms like stakeholder capitalism and net zero alignment mask a project not of service, but submission. To Carney, Canada is not a nation to be cherished or defended. It is a laboratory, a staging ground for a larger project, one in which democracy is treated as a nuisance to be managed rather than a right to be respected. What does that mean in practice? It means the full deployment of central bank digital currencies, allowing the government and financial institutions to control when, how, and where citizens spend their money. It means debanking political dissidents without trial, as already seen under Trudeau but set to be systematized under Carney's colder, more organized hand. It involves reshaping Canada's economy around environment, social and governance, or ESG scores. Real industries such as oil, gas, mining, and farming, will be suffocated under a mountain of climate bureaucracy designed not to save the planet.
The G20 was a little bit of a doldrum because we didn't get some of the pledges that a lot of people were hoping for. What does it mean for your expectations for COP26?
Well, I think a couple of things. I'm going to quote the Secretary General's: hopes unfulfilled but not yet buried.
But to entrench an elite class of corporate monopolies aligned with the new order. In Carney's Canada, owning a gas-powered vehicle will be viewed with suspicion, and farmers will be compelled to reduce production to meet arbitrary emissions targets.
Fully ending coal. We want to stop coal, not just new coal, but stop use of.
Essentially, ordinary working Canadians will likely be penalized for their way of life. At the same time, multinational corporations will be rewarded with government-financed green subsidies for pledging allegiance to ESG benchmarks they helped design themselves. The truly unsettling part is that Carney's political resume is non-existent. No years spent fighting unpopular causes. No accountability to any constituency. No democratic reckoning at all. His entire career has been about bypassing democracy itself. In a sense, Carney represents the logical next step after Trudeau's demolition job.
So what you need to keep doing is keep putting pressure. Regardless if you're a left or right person, you have to admit that the cost of living is getting out of hand. Carbon tax is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. And you know, when you raise the price of energy and you don't give me any other choices, you don't give me an alternative, how do I going to stop using gasoline? How do I going to stop using domestic gas to heat up my home? So you have to understand that even if you're a left or right person, you have to keep preparing, get a second passport, maybe go and visit another province like Alberta and see what happens there. You need to have a plan B, because this thing is a continuation of the UN 2030 agenda. This is not going to stop.